Real quick show of hands right off the top. How many people in my audience are worth $500,000? How many of you, if you knew somebody who had a net worth of $500,000, would say that, boy, that person's barely getting by? They are sure suffering in this economy. Well, guess what? The internet's favorite singer, Mr. Oliver Anthony, has got a net worth right around there. How'd you find that out, Florida Monkey? What'd you do? It's real simple. I paid attention to his own words, and I went to his own YouTube channel and I listened to what he had to say. And he told me everything I need to know. We're going to share that today. This guy's a fraud. He's a fake. He's a phony. I've had people say, well, he's not singing about himself. He's singing about other people. No, he's not. No, he's not. Listen to the lyrics. People like me and people like you. And he even says it in his bio that he wrote the song based on his experience working in a factory. You see, that didn't sit right with me. This whole idea of bullshit wages, overtime, and so I can go home and drink my life away doesn't sound right. Something just didn't jive. You see, he tells a story and we're going to share it. So let's get right to it. Real quick. Would like to, unlike Mr. Anthony, be grateful, humble, and say thank you to everyone who's joined us at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. It's only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year, fully refundable first 90 days. What's the difference? Why over there is it $1? Well, you see, we can tell the truth over there. We can take the gloves off, and we can speak like we used to be able to, just not even so long ago. But the massive waves of censorship keep people from being able to speak their minds. And that's why everybody is getting into the sheep herd and getting behind Mr. Anthony. See, you've got to pay attention to the details. Nobody's looked into this guy. Now, 22nd of August, we are going to be drawing two names out of a hat for the last two known in existence Florida Maquis coffee mugs. Masters of the mind on one side, destroying the illusion on the other. You see, when you become a master of your mind, not your emotions, then you can begin destroying illusions yourself. It's real easy to get caught up in emotions when people say things that you kind of want to agree with. I used this for yesterday's thumbnail. I own a boat. I own a tractor. I own an ATV. I live on a 90-acre ranch with a flowing stream. I raise chickens and have 3 dogs. And for fun, I sit around with my girlfriend, smoke weed. I'm oppressed. Yeah, I'm so oppressed. You see, it just didn't sit right, and I was going to let it go. But then yesterday, Mr. Anthony decided he wanted to open up the Bible. And he wanted to cherry pick half of a chapter because he read Psalms 37, 12 through 20. He didn't read, however, 1 through 12, because if he'd read 1 through 12, it would have destroyed his song and would have destroyed his message, and we're going to cover that too. See, Florida Monkey, why is this so important to you? You see, I know people who have been backed into a corner. I know people who are backed into a corner financially right now that are really struggling, that are really just month to month praying to be able to keep the lights on, praying to keep food in the refrigerator. See, this guy ain't that. We want you to think he's gone through the struggle with you when he hasn't gone through the struggle with you. There are people right now that are fighting tooth and nail. I don't want my kids to go to a public school, but I can't afford the private school. There's only one way I can afford private school, and we've talked about it before. People are like, I can't believe a woman would do that. Well, guess what? They're doing it sometimes to keep everything together. Lest you think Mr. Anthony is average. Let's meet the American average family right now. $3,800 in the bank. Nobody, half of American households, nobody has a retirement account. The other half only have about $35,000 saved for retirement. No mutual funds, no stocks, no bonds. House is worth about $160,000, but they usually owe about $95,000 on it to the bank. They make $43,000 a year, but can't manage to pay off $2,200 of credit balance. That's the average American family right now. Okay? So we have a baseline so that everybody is on the same sheet of music for what average is. Now, let's talk about this guy. And let's talk about his song, where he alleges that He's part of that group that's been through the struggle. Really? Really? How about we listen to him in his own words? Oh, from his TikTok channel. Did you know he had a TikTok channel? Let's have a listen.
A few years back, I decided to sell my house and buy this 90-acre piece of property. There's a lot of YouTube videos about compost toilets and solar panels, but for me it was just more about simplicity. I can remember stories of my grandfather as a child growing up on dirt floors with 7 siblings, raising tobacco in the mountains of Virginia. And I just thought that maybe my quality of life today really wasn't any better than his was back then. It seems like new cars and big mortgages, they enslave us more than they do enrich us. I look at this old chimney and this barbed wire growing in these trees, and I just believe that there's a simpler life to live.
Now, I hope everybody caught that. You see, he owned a house, and sold it. Sold the house, took the money, and bought 90 acres in Virginia. Quick show of hands. How many of you out there could do that right now? How many of you have title deed to your house and could sell it? To go just move off into the middle of 90 acres of nowhere. How many of you could afford to do that right now? Not many. Very few. You see, but he wanted to get back to the good old days like Grandpa had. I thought about my grandpa and the old ways of life. Really? He wanted to get back to roughing it, huh? Here's him roughing it on the weekends. Here's Mr. Back to Nature in his pontoon boat cooking about 20 knots across the lake. And here's him showing off his tractor. Yep, this is roughing it. Back to nature. Back to nature, just like good old Grandpa. Oh, but it gets even better. Here's him bragging on his RZR 900S with 30-inch Blackwater Evolution tires. He talks about all the lift kits he's got put on it. 20, 25 grand for this. God knows how much the boat was. See, I have a question I'd like to ask. What if Tim McGraw had come out and sang a song like that? People like you and people like me and bullshit wages. You know what would have happened? People would have said, wait a minute, Tim. You can't expect us to believe that you understand the struggle. Tim McGraw's worth $200 million. Tim McGraw would never be dumb enough to record a song like that. Neither would Garth Brooks, neither would Toby Keith. Because from their perspective, being worth $430, $370, $200 million, they couldn't sing a song like that. Now, here's the part of the Bible that he left out. See, he talked about the wicked plotteth against the just, and Nash is, talking about how, all the wicked people up in Washington are going to get their comeuppance from God. But here's what Psalm 37 really says. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way. Let me say that again. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger. Forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth for yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Does his song bring about an abundance of peace? about bullshit wages and them rich men north. Is that what's evoked there? See, he's the one that got out the Bible. He's the one that decided he wanted to lead up yesterday with taking half of a chapter. So we're going to read the other half of that same chapter, where you don't go incite people to anger with music because you feel like you've not had the life that you deserve because of some other rich men. When you have, oh, by the way, where did I get the number about 500,000? I looked it up. You see, let me see. Hold on here. Where's that here? Okay. Where is it? Gosh darn it. Give me 1 second here. Basically, I looked on land.com for 90 acres in Virginia and figured out, generally speaking, how much it would cost. Here's 80 acres for 280 grand, 90 acres in Dinwiddie for 175. But where he's at, and then you add in the cost of the boat and the tractor. You see this right here, the tractor, the razor, and everything else. And plus the guy has a weed habit. You see, I'm not buying it. Where's that study? Here it is. Hold on. To be considered rich where you're at. He's in Virginia, and down here they have the chart. Cost of living varies, but basically when you get down to, where is it? Richmond, Virginia. There it is, 27. 250,000 for Richmond, Virginia. So believe what you want about the government, believe what you want about this guy, but don't believe for 1 minute this dude is struggling just like normal, average, everyday Americans. He's not. He is no more struggling, no more able to claim that than Tim McGraw. That's just the reality. Besides, let me ask you another question. If he's so upset about the way things are done in Washington, D.C., shouldn't he move someplace else? You see, whenever the left, somebody from the left, some person said, when Trump gets elected, I'm leaving, or, this or that or the other is wrong, I'm leaving. Well, if he's so goddamn upset about life in America, if he thinks life in America is so bad, why doesn't he just move to Venezuela? That's whatever, when I told people, hey, you know what, socialism down here is very different. Well, why don't you just move to Venezuela, monkey? If you think it's so bad here, that's what I got. Okay, keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. If things are so bad, if things are so terrible, and you think it's so horrible, why don't you pick up and leave? Why don't you sell your 90 acres, get your, 300-400 grand out of whatever you got, and you can go do whatever. Do you think this is delusional, do you think most Americans have the ability to sell title deed to their house, get 200-400 grand, pick up a 90-acre tract out in the middle of Virginia and decide, you know what, I'm just going to go rough it? And to be clear about roughing it, this is his version of roughing it. Zipping across the lake at sunset on his pontoon boat. And when he's not doing that, running around his property in his $25,000 ATV. I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to somebody like that and not say anything, make the world believe that somehow he understands the plight of the working man. Tim McGraw couldn't do it. Tim McGraw would never try. Because that's just silly. And then, dude wants to pull out the Bible. Dude wants to pull out the Bible and cut a chapter in half and not talk about the first half of the chapter where it says, be at peace. Be at peace. You want to talk about exposing evil? Let's do it right here, right now. Let's do it right here. Let's do it right now. We're going to expose hypocrisy. We're going to expose the lies. This guy is beyond blessed. This guy has absolutely no clue what most Americans are going through. This guy has absolutely no clue what most Americans are going through. He talk about what a luxury. Oh, mortgages and living in neighborhoods. Seems like it's a form of slavery. Seems like it's a form of slavery. So I'm just going to sell my house, take the money, and go buy 90 acres in Virginia and go live like old Grandpappy did. Gosh, how horrible for you. How horrible for you to have to suffer such an indignity. Give me a break. I'm sorry. I'm more angry now than I was yesterday about this. To see so many people so deluded about this. And what makes me the most angry about this is number one, that he used the Bible. And number two, I know people that are barely getting by. And I've tried to help. I've tried to do everything that I know how to do. But I'm kind of right there with them at this point. There are people out there that their choices aren't, well, gosh, I could just sell the house and buy 90 acres in Virginia, or I could just kind of keep things going here. It's not an option for them to go sell the house and then take the proceeds from it and then go buy 90 acres in Virginia. Okay. I mean, if you want to think that's the struggle, then, you and I have nothing in common. So I can't even wrap my mind around the kind of brain that would be able to do that and then pick up the Bible. It's just, it's more than I can take. So anyway, I will leave it there. Thank you everyone for the support. I very, very much appreciate it. It makes a huge, huge difference in my life. More so than what I could ever express. God bless every single one of you. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. Definitely share this. I think a lot of people would like to hear this. Share this so that people know who they're listening to. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.